Imagine going to sleep in a quiet lakeside camp and waking up as the only survivor of something no one could ever explain. What happened near Ravensmere Lake still has no clear answer. Let's dive into today's story. Let me take you back to early summer, 1931, somewhere in Northern Europe. 4 teenagers decided to camp near Ravensmere Lake, a place locals described as peaceful, scenic, and perfect for a short escape. This wasn't meant to be anything wild or dangerous. It was meant to be a celebration. One of them, Irene, was about to turn 16. This trip was her idea. She arrived laughing, riding on the back of her boyfriend Daniel's motorcycle. A little later, their friends Lucas and Martha joined them. Nothing about that evening suggested what was coming. Their campsite sat on a narrow strip of land surrounded by water and trees. The lake reflected the sky, and the air felt unusually still. They set up one tent, shared food, talked, and watched the sky glow faintly. Night never fully arrived. Eventually, they crawled into the tent and fell asleep. According to Irene's later journal entry, it was the calmest night she could remember. Sometime after midnight, Irene woke suddenly. She sensed movement. Then she saw it. A dark figure stood outside the tent, blocking what little light there was. She later described its eyes as wrong, too bright, almost glowing. Before anyone could react, the tent collapsed inward with violent force. What followed lasted only moments, but it destroyed 4 lives. At dawn, 2 locals fishing nearby noticed a man running from the forest. They thought nothing of it. Later, a family walking the shoreline found the campsite. The tent was crushed. Blood soaked into the ground. 3 teenagers were dead. And then, something no one expected happened. One of them moved. Daniel was alive, barely breathing, badly injured, almost unrecognizable. When Daniel recovered enough to talk, investigators listened carefully. His memory was fragmented, but one detail never changed. He said a dark figure attacked them. He said it had unnatural eyes, and he said it didn't speak. Police struggled to explain the scene. Some belongings were missing, but valuables were untouched. Shoes vanished. Keys disappeared. A jacket was gone. Nothing made sense. Now pause here for a moment, because this is where things stop feeling like a crime and start feeling like something else. Think about it. No clear motive. No robbery. No footprints leading away. And a survivor whose injuries didn't match the official theories. Ask yourself, if this was just a man, why did nothing add up? And if it wasn't a man, then what walked out of those trees? Over the years, police questioned thousands. One local man was suspected but never charged. Decades later, authorities made a shocking move. They accused Daniel himself. They claimed jealousy, anger, and a sudden outburst of violence. But the evidence didn't hold. Daniel was acquitted, and the case returned to silence. Locals whispered about another man, Arthur, known for violent behavior and hatred toward campers. Years later, after a night of drinking, Arthur reportedly confessed to a neighbor. The next day, Arthur was found dead in Ravensmere Lake. No note, no witnesses, no answers. To this day, Ravensmere Lake looks exactly the same. The water is calm. The trees stand tall. And the campsite still feels untouched. But locals say the silence there is different now. Years later, stories about Arthur began to surface, details that were never part of the official accounts. People described him as a reclusive man who lived on the edge of the forest, often watching the lake from a distance. He avoided towns, spoke rarely, and when he did, his presence made people uneasy. There was something about him too intense, too focused. Some claimed Arthur felt the lake belonged to him, that visitors didn't understand it, that the laughter and campfires disturbed the place. Perhaps what the teenagers experienced wasn't supernatural at all, but the result of someone who had spent too long alone in the woods. And yet, the memory of that night still feels strange. The survivor recalled shapes moving in the shadows, things that couldn't be explained, moments that vanished as quickly as they appeared. If Arthur was involved, why did he never speak clearly about that night? And why did he disappear shortly afterward, leaving the lake behind? Those who live nearby say that when night falls, the forest feels heavier, as if it remembers, as if it waits. So the question remains, was it simply a man protecting what he loved? Or was there something more? Something the forest itself seemed to hold that night? Only one person left to tell the story. And even after all these years, they never truly escaped Ravensmere Lake. That's Ravensmere Lake. For now. Subscribe for more stories that might keep you up at night.